Good evening, guys. Ken at Taurus Capital, nightly strategy podcast for May 8th, 2023. So today was a choppy day. It was a big gap up, harsh sell-offs, big moves in both directions that settled into more of a chop than anything else. So there were some opportunity exits early for us. That didn't hurt. We'll start with, as always, the swing portfolio, and it lead off with Alcoa on 30 minutes. So Friday was the gap and morning hook, so we took that with the standard risk. It closed well, and today it gapped up here, then started selling off, and it was like, you know what? I'll just take 4 and start the day. There was probably a short in there, but span of control. AI was this was one that we closed right at the open as it started suffering, and locked in about 2. It bottomed out here, and then mid-morning kind of crested the wave here. Gave us a little dragon. It looked like that, so decided to put it back on. It closed pretty well, so we're holding about +1. Caterpillar, we initiated the Kata 2 Friday, and it basically just was monkeying around in here. It's holding about +1. I like the fact that it didn't really respond to the market's intraday volatility today, so I'm actually liking that one longer term. I think the 5-day high around 219. I think that could be in play tomorrow. It has to get above that to really be interesting. I might also just wait for this, like 221. Before I put a second position on. Cliff Natural Resources was another one of those. It was like Alcoa in the same sense that it gapped up, ran all the way up, and then started selling off hard. So we locked in +1. I think I missed an entry in here. That feels like it could go tomorrow. The fact that the sell-off only got to here, on retrospect, I might have taken that one. But I think there's enough room that if this continues tomorrow, we should be able to play for a return to 1565. So I'm happy with that one. So this is CVS. So this is one where Friday, we were fortunate to avoid that gap up, and then Friday it sold off after that big gap to here, and today it gapped here and started selling off again. So it looked to me like it's trying to recover to here. So we took that trade. Half the time I'll take the exit here. Today the market felt weak, and it's closing. This is where it's closing down. So here's where the collapsing dragon is tomorrow. That'll be confirmation of that trade. And I think I could put a second position on here tomorrow if it were to breach. If it breaches today's low, I think a second position is warranted right there with a target back here. And now if it breaks below the 30-day low, look out below. This one's reinforced by the fact that it got into the winter right about here and is starting to roll over. Dish Network was a gift of a 2R, and this one was just a maniac of movers. I could not get my arms around this one. So it closed well here, gapped up, ran all the way up and coming down. I just said, let me take +2. And then it did this all day. I mean, holy smokes. Let's just settle. Let's let this thing settle down where it wants to settle before we get into it. There's just too much volatility intraday on that one to mess with it. Devon Energy. This is one I started this morning on like a Kata 2 continuation. It got this high and it started rolling over. Didn't want to hold it, so basically out at a scratch. It closed poorly. I'm going to be stalking this one tomorrow for a short, but I did not want to take the overnight. Today was just such a weird day. I didn't want to have a lot of overnight. But we'll be watching that one for a collapse tomorrow. Electronic Arts was one that the Kata 2 we started from Friday just scratched. I missed the re-entry. But that looks interesting for tomorrow. Emerging Markets was, I think, the best hold of the day. Friday, we got the Kata 2 entry here, which was like above the Emerging Dragon. And it closed well. And then today, it just basically was pretty much immune to the market's volatility. So we're holding about 3R on that one. And at the first sign of strength tomorrow, I'll add, because we are above the previous resistance. So I take that as a positive sign. The failure to fail today was positive. Ethereum, I'm so glad to have this one in my rearview mirror. This was just a strange swing, which we got out of Friday on the rollover. We had 4 positions on. Had misplayed this one poorly. Did pretty well on this. Was happy to get out here, and then today it just sold off harsh and then is rolling over. So that's a reason to take a bird in the hand. In this case, 4 birds in the hand. All of those 2 trades would have been given back. This one would have been at scratch, and all of that would have disappeared. So I am prone to taking those when I can get them. Abnormal gains are to be respected. Exited Mexico today with about 1R. Initiated the short in Brazil after we had a 2-bagger that held and it ran up and started to sell. I cashed that one and then watched this thing collapse and then took the short here, and it closed poorly. We're about 0.5 in hand, and there's room for this to come all the way back to here. Feels like we're due. Intel was no trade. International paper, no trade. I like that it's compressing. Real estate was no trade. It is also compressing. No trade on the banks. So all 4 of those asset classes are featuring this kind of really tight compression and setting up for a breakout tomorrow. I expect fireworks tomorrow. McDonald's just exited with 1. Merck initiated on Friday the Kata 2, and this was one that did not fail either. I treated this as a failure to fail further, and that feels like it could do something. And it actually closed pretty well. Now that it's holding +2. And the fact that it didn't fail at all is promising. Now, if it can get above about 119.50, that's where I would add a second position on a clear emerging dragon. Marijuana, no trade. Clean Energy initiated the long on the Kata 2. Rivian initiated the Kata 2. This was the exit from Friday. We liked it long, and then at the last minute it started collapsing, so I wanted to lock in 2. This morning all it did was just kind of resume, so I went ahead and put that position back on, and it closed pretty well, so we're holding +2 on that one. Treasuries. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there we go. Treasuries. I've just completely missed that whole move. I mean, jeez. Have just not been able to get my will right on this one. Felt I missed that, and then missed a couple collapsing dragons all over the place. And it's all the way back to holding support. So I actually think that if it gets above 104, I'm just going to put a position on the long side. And that would sort of reinforce this as a support level, this as a target level, and then just trade this between 103 and a quarter and 106.75. That's a $3.50 range, and it's looking like the probably 50 cents standard risk box. So there's a 7R channel in there that we can work with. Tesla, maintaining the emerging dragon entry from Friday. Well, it's about an R in hand. U.S. Steel, no trade. I do like the way that it is compressing, though. And I think that's setting up a zero state here for failure here or resumption there. So looks promising. And that's the swing portfolio. All right, so now we're into a sniper trade of the day. This is going to be on 3 minutes. This symbol closed well here on Friday. There was a very large gap up. It went as high as this. It sold off as low as this, and then recovered to here, setting the OR3 values right there. Then it opened the next bar here and then sold off immediately. So we're short here, and then this is the standard risk box on this symbol. That's the R10. Check or hold. In 4 bars, it runs all the way down back to the close. So we're holding that's about 3R to there. Oh, excuse me. Kids wore me out at soccer tonight. I'm so hot. Standard exit on the 1, 2, 3. So this little round off comes back into the dragon. We'll just take that. That's about 3. And then it continues to go. So that's a 1, 2, 3 entry. And here's the standard risk. And it wouldn't surprise me to get back up into here. But it doesn't, so we take a no lose plus dinner for 2. That rollover happened pretty quick, I gotta admit. It broke through and then immediately crashed. So we end up catching just this little piece. No lose plus dinner for 2. Took the short on the breakdown through the bottom of the dragon, standard risk. Scratch. Reshorted it because the R10 could not get through the dragon and made a lower low. A lower high. And rejected the PSAR. The R10 is your friend. That's about +1. Try the short again. Minus 0.5. Thought hard about that as a COTA 2. Kind of the failure to follow through. If we take that, the box is going to be, that big. So what's it be? It'd have to be like about that. It was getting late in the day. I think I didn't take it for that reason. Probably would have scratched that trade. I did take the Kata 2 this time, though, because now what we had was this was failure to fail. So standard risk. Basically a scratch. I thought about this one as a short, as like a supported fall crossing, but it was after 3, and then regretted immediately I didn't take it. So this was really a choppy day, and by the afternoon, with that lack of conviction, kept me out of a lot of trades on the swing side as well as the intraday. So that was that. Let's shift to the traders. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, the summer snuck up on us in Kansas. It was 90 on the field today and humid. All right, let's see here. My brother. So he's got Rivian on 3 minutes. And you can see here's the... At that time of day, it was one of the leading candidates for gains, and he's using his range stats $3.40, so it could be 34 cents for the R10. If you're using the R6, it could be 56 cents. He gets his standard entry.
Just you applied Google numbers to the Rivian. It was 10-cent trade.
Yeah.
10 cent. Sorry. I just didn't want people to go, what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No worries.
I underwrote the wrong one. So
yeah. So it's all there. It's a 10-cent trailing stop, which is 1R. I applied the summer rule. Where you see that change.
Yeah. Now the second leg up when it rolls over 1, 2, 3 exit.
Yep.
1.2 yep. Standard work.
Yep.
And time to work.
Yep.
So.
Well, I had left a while ago.
Yep. Good stuff. All right. Here's a swing. This is looking at a crypto. And this gentleman specializes in crypto. I look at this, I think he's seeing this as a support level and failure to fail twice, and considerable amount of buying pressure, and then no selling pressure, and just that almost like a morning hook. And he's on hour charts. And so he's using a tight risk and very reasonable chance to get to here. If that breaks through, I would say these two support levels become targets at 4.25. And if it breaks above 4.25, that could melt up. So that'll be an interesting one. We'll see how that goes tomorrow. And this is, if you zoom in on that a little more closely, I think he took a piece of it here. and then locked in a couple R. And then if you trade, like if you capture 80%, or if you sell off 80% of that, the 20% that remains is paid for by the gains that you made inside here. That may be the technique. All right, Hamad, let's see. So this is Brazil. Here's the close, gap up, sells off, finds support. You get this. This is the Kata 2 right here. When you have this little R10 wiggle and breaks through the price, you can be long here. In these early stages, this is the peak, so that's bar 1. It now does not make a new high, but does make a new low. That makes this bar 2. And so your 1, 2, 3 entry could be here, or from here, or at the edge of the dragon. The spine of the dragon gives back 0.5, an extra 0.5 loss. The stop and reverse at the PSAR flip, if you'd, that's an agile trader with a standard risk here. That would have been 1.5 in your favor, and even if you trail it with a 1R, you make money on that one. This is a collapsing dragon here, because you have a double R10 wiggle there. You got the PSAR's pointing down. You can take that one. This one would have you probably take the 1, 2, 3 entry to get a piece. I like this one short here because the R10 rejected the top of the dragon, and as it comes across the dragon, I like to get it there with a risk box here, and you get something like this. You probably could take it here or here. This is a potential a long that probably scratches. I like the short here rather than here because all of this is pointing down, and you get the PSAR flip rejection there. And if you're short here, you probably exit there. Let me also say that on this one, the collapsing dragon is here, not here. And even if you use this one, we might have gotten a little better entry. This one I don't see as a collapsing dragon, by the way, unless you're counting it off of here. But to me, the collapsing dragon is off this one. You're still inside the chop. This is, that's a winter, but this has had a couple moves where it's compressing. I would rather see you on this one. And then if you put your standard risk on this, I don't mind that exit, but then you got to re-enter here. And this is another one just like this. You get those sharp moves in Brazil, and you got to be ready. When it gets past, see how it gets past the Z3 out of this pinch? When that starts to rocket, you got to use a money management stop and get paid on that big fat move. And then this is actually a Kata 2. So there's some pattern refinement to work on there. This one, there's nothing wrong with these trades here. This collapsing dragon and scratch it rolls over. I like that short and scratch it. Now you've had two chances for it to collapse like it just did, and it didn't. That makes this a standard entry Kata 2, and then your Kata 2 here should be here, not here, and that gets paid. And this entry here rather than here at least scratches, and then another re-entry. They all look the same, and I think we should have been able to catch that one basically by looking at two shorts that failed to pay off after all of this. Diamonds. This one was tight. I think you were getting a little gun shy on this one, but we're not losing money on these. And this whole day, failure to fail, it did not fail. There's a tradable move. They all look the same leaving the station. Here's Constantine on his specialty, which is the gold dollar spot. He uses the higher time frame on the 30-minute to find that what was once support became, when it broke, resistance. So there's resistance. So when this thing comes oozing up into this and then fails once, twice, and now you get the rollover and the PSAR flip, he hits that hard and takes his 3.5. And he's seeing this as a support level, which is this. And it, once it stays here, out. That's good fractal trading right there. He's comparing the 30-minute to the 5-minute on this one. I think is this Brian? Brian or Greg? Brian. Okay. PSAR flip. Nice cash. Bottom, bottom, bottom. PSAR flip. Z3 pinch. He says, I have to buy it. Has a nice wide stop. Relaxes. Probably the trigger was here and got filled here. We might have gotten a little better on that. I think you can short that right there. Or here. Not later than here, but that's a good scratch. That's a good long. And got paid. Looking pretty good. This is about a 0.35 expectancy. About 1 hour for today. And I notice how he's using the, the formal PSARs. Like this one, I think that's why I think you could have been short here, was that broke into the winter right there. That's winter. All the way to here. So that allows you to get that short. And this summer allows him that move. Nicely played. I'm going to tell you, keep taking them, keep shooting, Tex. That failure to fail is information. They all look the same leaving the river. That looks just like this one, except for the fact that this is a Kata 2 and even stronger. Gets paid in Devon. And I just want to notice here that I want you to mark up every PSAR flip that you see, even if you don't trade them. And it'll get you to start seeing that as a pattern. That failure to fail further down to here, it finds support at what was once resistance, is information. Oh, look, you're killing me here. There's his PSAR flip. Mucking around with execution risk or whatnot. Here's the next breakout from the shelf. He was working the shelf, the breakout, the shelf, the breakout. He gets a quick reversal. Does get paid 1.4, and we'll take one. If you don't want an hour a day, send it to me. You don't got to get them all. So, Greg, I'm not sure. Greg, I think you're in here. What platform are you using to for your charts here? Yeah, I think that's the same trading language as TradeStation. So you could check with Jeff Boccaccio at our factory and sort out. I think that Brian was giving you some guidance about setting that equal R10 to the high and the low. But if you check with Jeff B, he's a sort of a master TradeStation programmer at ourfactory.io and ask him about how he's setting that up. That's a good problem to have, though. I mean, the timing on that's pretty nice. That's a great stop and reverse, so's that one.
Hey, Greg, are you seeing that you can time that on the MACD? Take a look at your.
Yeah, that's what he's doing, and he's also looking at the RLXD.
Okay.
The PSAR doesn't hurt him on this one.
Yeah. Okay.
I
just didn't see the circles on the other one. So.
Yeah, all that I already shifted to Peter. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, so started the day out of the zero state and really was not in a good frame of mind to take the just orderly smooth. Does a nice job finding the turning point, but lets himself get chopped around. This is good practice now, when he goes and reruns it and grooves his swing, that's the difference between, this is what the zero state will do for you. It's the difference between minus 2.2 and plus 11. Just saying. But that's good practice in locking in the correct patterns to the visual cortex there.
You think that might have something to do with running it as a non-trade? Maybe you should back off of his capital investiture to.
No, I just think if you're not in the zero state, don't trade is the only real lesson on that.
Yeah, I guess.
But
okay.
This is on Brazil, and this is 3 minutes. There's a PSAR flip here. When it crosses the VWAP again, that either one of those is a trade. Your risk is down here, and trust the PSAR. You're not going to lose money, but that 1, 2, 3 exit right here, that to me is the no-brainer. The thing is rolling over, and you're done. So that's the trade I think you want, and that now makes this a short. And then when this collapses with the money management stop, you should be able to get out right there. This just feels a little flustered. But believe it or not, here's the nice signal. Why? Because you have a high, a low, a lower high, and it rejects the VWAP. So now you get this as a pocket or that as a collapsing dragon. You'll get paid right away. And even if you take a 1-2 exit or a money management exit, you'll be all right. And there's my brother. Okay. And let's find the reports.
I wonder if they're going to give me their money.
Not going to get me promoted.
Nope. Free chicken. Free chicken.
Just a quick look here at the different market health checks. This is still looking fairly solid. It's holding, and doesn't take much to break out to the upside. Still pretty favorable. You can see on the zoom in. Today was actually it's an inside day, meaning that the high was lower than the previous high. The high and the low were contained inside yesterday's range, and a tight range compression. That just means the breakout tomorrow is going to be big, and it closed in the, this was the red line is the low of the day, the green line was the high of the day, the black line is the closing price. So, like in terms of a thermometer, it closed in the top 20% of the day, which is kind of favorable, and it's very close to breaking the PSAR to the upside. So, I consider all that pretty good. Today was a day that it did not fail. 30-minute shows the same thing. Dashboard 1, bullish, quiet, favorable, bullish, green. The risk off it's given us just a little bit of warning that it's thin ice. The big winners: Walmart, McDonald's, Disney, Merck. So these are the ones that are losing the least from the 10-day high. That's all your staples. Nvidia for the big win today. That's such a no-brainer. Disney had 10-day, 1-month breakout. And you compare Nvidia to Texas Instruments, you can see who's winning the chip wars. Very quietude in the ETFs. Standard work on the auto framer and squeezes. Regression line fractals. The deep value plays are the metals, especially U.S. Steel, and then some energy, Chevron, ExxonMobil. The value play in still 7 3/4 ATR below its long-term fair value. Oil and oil exploration both depressed. Here's your tech. Look at 4 out of the 5 tech leaders agree. That's all old school right there. Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, and Intel.
Yep.
Godzilla's, Texas Instruments, or no, I'm sorry, that's Shopping Network, TSN. Here's some Raging Godzillas.
Yes.
Huge day today in that.
Jeez.
Since we're just monkeying around. Oh, I closed accidentally.
It was an $8 gap ish. I do like Eugene's pointing out the
KRE.
KRE. If it breaks 37.50?
Yeah.
That's
yeah, there's another round of bank weaknesses coming.
It's basically channeled, and now it's on a 10-minute chart.
Yeah.
It's it could go back down to 36. So drop a buck on 20 cents.
Well, even on the that's the 30-minute right there, and that's a channel, a 2-day channel that has, it's a coiled spring ready to collapse. To here is easy to see. A collapse up is easy to see. the one down is easier to believe in because it's hanging right on the zero line, and you have all this extra pressure pushing down. And that's basically an owl entry.
Yeah.
And I wanted to look at that TSN. Ouch. Oh,
Yeah.
Chihuahua. Chihuahua. Well, that's sure interesting.
Ah.
If that thing ain't in play, I don't know what is. That's a 9-day.
Yeah.
Every
Just what
long-term holder is looking at that. That's where the boys back up the truck and say, well, I'm not afraid of owning a food company during high inflation because this is my solid support.
And that rebound volume or the frequency gets higher.
Yeah.
That could easily break 102 again.
So now the 3-day got smoked. Yeah, it's in play. I'm adding this one to the swing because that's Tyson Foods. You have to respect a move like that closed so poorly. And the short term play is just this.
Just the reversion. Just the reversion.
Just $1. Which way you want to go? But either. There's probably 1 or 2 more days of pain and suffering. How do they not make money during their costs? Must just be astronomical, though. That the increased price in food is not accounting for the increased price in all of their infrastructure and energies. Their fertilizers and heating and production costs. Yeah. All right, I think that's everything we got for tonight. We're gonna get on them again tomorrow. And tell me more about the Friday trade. So what do you do? Thursday night review, and then Friday open up a room in Zoom.
Yeah, I mean Thursday night I'll have a little something made up for it. Maybe a little 5-minute here.
All right, if somebody's interested in that, do you want them to send you your email?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll post it in the chat room.
Cool.
All right, everybody. We will catch you tomorrow. Get this posted.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers.